Welcome back to TechFlik. Today we are going to do an overview and how it feels to build in the Phanteks P360x case. We recently did a 2000 Singapore dollar build in this case, so if you haven't catched that video, links are in the description down below. So let's get this unboxing going, shall we? Firstly, the Phanteks P360x case is a mid-tower ATX case at around 115 Singapore dollars, measuring at a width of 200mm, height of 465mm, and a depth of 455mm. This is a really compact steel case. As far as I know, it only comes in this color, the satin black. Looking at the top panel, we have the power button aligned in the middle. At first glance, the bezel around the power button seems to have LED lighting like the P300 case. Unfortunately, it does not. On the right vertical side, we have the included mic and headphone jack, two USB 3.0 ports, and two buttons to control the integrated digital RGB lighting. This case does include an integrated DRGB lighting, meaning if your motherboard does not have a DRGB header, you can still control the lighting using the color button and mode button on this case. Of course, if your motherboard do have a DRGB header, you can use the software to control the case lighting and is compatible with the following. I do note that the mode and control button do not function when using software control. Phanteks has also included a simple magnetic dust filter on the top that is easy to remove and clean. The top panel also provides fan support for 220mm or 240mm fans. For radiator support, it only supports 240mm or 120mm radiator configuration. If you are familiar with other Phanteks case in the P300 series, Phanteks has also kept this distinct feature of the tempered glass that covers only 3/4 of the side panel, while the remaining 1/4 is the power supply shroud. I really like this implementation, and I think it is how Phanteks managed to keep the price low. The tempered glass is held on by 4 thumb screws at each corner, and upon unscrewing them, you can see that Phanteks has also included a rubber washer to help with the vibration. To remove the tempered glass, simply unscrew them while maintaining contact to avoid the glass slipping. Once removed, gently pull the panel from the top and lift it. The tempered glass does have some weight to it. It comes in pretty thin and measured at around 3mm of thickness. Looking inside the case, it's nice that Phanteks has already pre-installed the standoffs, so you do not forget to screw them before putting the motherboard in. This is really helpful for beginner builders. Onto the front panel, this panel is completely removable. To remove the panel, slot your fingers into the opening at the bottom and gently pull the panel from the bottom. Interestingly, Phanteks has implemented in such a way that it only requires a 3-pin contact connector to power the LED on the front panel. Inside the front panel, you can see the 2 digital RGB strips along the 2 sides of air vents. My guess to why they use white for the interior side is to allow light to reflect evenly on the white surfaces. Outside of the front panel, we can see the air vents on both sides. However, instead of making it all steel, Phanteks has made a glossy design just beside the air vents. This glossy finish does add characteristic and also reflects the RGB lighting. There's also air grills at the bottom and top of the front panel. Phanteks has also included a dust filter on the front panel. The dust filter has nice pattern detail to it, and at the top corners there is magnets to allow easy removal and installing of the dust filter. The case does come with only one 120mm fan, and it is situated at the front panel. There is no rear exhaust fan included. The front panel provides fan support for 220mm or 240mm fans. For radiator support, it allows support up to 280mm radiator configuration. At the bottom, you have the hard drive cage with 2 included 3.5-inch hard drive brackets, which can also hold a 2.5-inch SSD. To remove them, just pinch them together and pull. Here is also where Phanteks accessory box is also included. The accessory box contains the basic items needed for the case. This includes the screws for the motherboard, SSD, fan mounting, power supply, and also some thumb screws. You can also find some zip ties included for cable management, some information for technical support, and the case user manual. At the back of the case, there is a cutout for the I/O shield and the power supply. This case also comes with 7 PCI slots and a cutout for the optional installation of vertical GPU bracket, which does not come with this case. Unscrewing the thumb screws of the side panel will reveal the cable management area of this case. We have 3 2.5-inch SSD mounting area. However, Phanteks only include 2 SSD brackets. These are toolless brackets, and removing it is simply by pushing the brackets upwards and taking them out. And installing them is simply by aligning the holes and pushing the brackets downwards. At the bottom right of the case, you have the power supply mounting area. The case does come with 4 vibration pads and ventilation holes. Below that is the power supply dust filter, which is easily removable for easy washing. There is ample room for cable routing, and Phanteks has also included Velcro straps for cable management, which is nice. On the bottom of the case, there are 4 rubber pads on each of the case feet. The feet are raised at around 18mm and thus allow some airflow through the front panel and also to the power supply. So, how is the experience building the PC with this case? Out of the box, as the standoffs are pre-installed, it was easy to install the motherboard straight. Installation of the 3.5-inch hard drive and 2.5-inch SSD onto the brackets are also straightforward. For the 3.5-inch bracket, simply open the 2 clips on both sides, place the hard drives while aligning the 2 holes at the sides, and close the clips. The clips should snap and stay in place. For the 2.5-inch bracket, you are required to use the included screws to fasten the SSD in place. Simply place the SSD, align the holes at the side, and screw it in. Once that is done, putting them into place is really straightforward. For the power supply area, you have to insert it from the side instead of from the back, and the area does accommodate a normal ATX power supply nicely. There is a small cutout on the top of the power supply shroud, which the P300 case did not have, and it's a nice addition for easy cable to pass through and onto the graphics card. There is ample space to store the cable access underneath the power supply shroud. I feel that cable management on this case is really a breeze. I made use of the Velcro strap to keep the cables tidy. There is some zip ties area which I made use to secure dangling cables at the top. There is also space for me to stick a fan and RGB hub on the case itself. Even with the fan and RGB hub in place, I can still close the side panel with ease. If you wish to control the case lighting via software, Phanteks include 2 connectors, one for the motherboard and another one for additional digital RGB products to have the colors and mode in sync. As both my fans and AIO CPU cooler both have RGB, I want it to sync with my case lighting. In this case, I simply connect the motherboard RGB connector onto the motherboard, and for the extra cable, I simply connect it to my RGB hub, which comes included with the AIO CPU cooler. While the remaining connector, I left it alone. Testing it on the MSI Dragon Center using the MSI Mystic lights, I was able to control the colors and mode for the case and also my AIO and fans, all of which is in sync. Here is some tests of breathing effect, strobing effect, still effect, a color cycle visor effect, and of course, rainbow lights. You have the freedom to customize it to your liking. Overall, I find the Phanteks P360x case a really good value case at this price point. If you are into RGB and wants to add some flank to your case, you might want to consider this case. The case is really compact and doesn't take up much space as compared to a full tower. The build quality is great, plus the addition of the tempered glass and RGB lighting makes this a sweet deal. That's it guys for this case overview and build experience. I hope you have enjoyed this video as much as I do making them. If you like what you see, click the like button. If you love what you see, subscribe and leave a comment down below. Do let me know what I can improve on for my next video. Until then, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. This is TechFlik signing out.